My name is Layla Kinsey, and this is my informational speech. Imagine 6 players moving together in perfect sync, calling out plays and supporting each other, all while covering every inch of a 900 square foot court. That's what the game of volleyball is all about. It's an intense, fast-paced sport that relies on teamwork as a whole rather than one individual play or person. Even if you've never stepped foot on a volleyball court, it's clear that it's a game that isn't possible without each person committing fully to the team. Athletes who play volleyball leave the sport not just better players, but better contributors to any team that they're on. Teamwork is an essential skill in many places of life, such as school, work, and personal relationships. Understanding how this sport builds those abilities can help you strengthen your own cooperation skills. As someone who's played volleyball for several different teams for many years, I've learned that a team with many star players who can perform well in different drills still isn't effective if they're not able to communicate well with each other. If they don't have good teamwork, then they won't perform to their full potential during games. Today, I'll explain how volleyball strengthens communication between players, builds mutual trust, and teaches each player to perform their role effectively within a group. The first step for a team to play well together is for each person to develop effective communication skills. Players learn to communicate effectively through many verbal and nonverbal cues. One example is the setter. The setter is responsible for getting the second touch so that the front row attackers can make an offensive hit. However, in some plays, the ball is passed far away from the setter. Instead of the setter calling for the ball every single play when they're expected to get it, when the ball is passed far away from them, the setter knows that they have to call for help. When the setter calls for help, it signals to every other player that someone must help set the ball up so that it can be pushed over the net or even set up for an attack. Good communication like this is the foundation of a successful team play. Players must call out mine, signal players, and keep others aware of the ball's movement and their own position on the court. For example, one important way of communication that I've witnessed is that back row players must make themselves known from the back row because front row players often are focused on other things, such as blocking and setting up for a hit. For example, one example of this is that the libero often has to let the setter know when they're going for a ball or let the middle know when they don't need to go for the tip. According to USA Volleyball, clear and consistent communication reduces errors and keeps the team organized under pressure. When each person communicates well, it helps the team flow together and win more points during the game. Once players learn how to communicate, that foundation allows trust to build naturally. That leads to my second point, which is that volleyball builds trust among players. Each player must rely on teammates to perform their role. No single player can win alone. I'm going to show an example of this. So like I said, it's really important for back row players to use good communication. However, if the players don't trust each other, then this communication is useless. One example could be that I'm a back row player who's going for a ball, and I call for the ball, but then another player also calls for it because we don't trust each other, or she doesn't trust me to get the ball. And then this happens. In this example, nobody gets the ball. The ball would fall on the ground most likely, and someone could even get hurt. This even happened to me one time. When the ball was hit over the net, I went for it and another girl went for it at the same time, and I hit my head pretty hard on her. We both learned that we need to not only communicate well for each point, but trust each other to get it when it's our turn. Teammates learn to depend on one another to cover positions, stay alert, and make quick decisions. If teammates don't trust each other and make quick decisions, that often leads to miscommunication, which throws the whole team off balance. Sports psychologist Dr. Jerry Lynch notes that mutual trust improves confidence and reduces anxiety, leading to more cohesive teams. Many coaches realize this and they focus on team bonding exercises to build trust. It's not just important to trust each other on the court, but off the court too. Many teams will go out to dinner, hang out outside of practice, and do things such as escape rooms to build trust among the team. When you see that you're able to trust your teammates outside of practice, it becomes easier to communicate with them and play together on the court. Trust and communication then lead to one of volleyball's greatest lessons, which is how to coordinate different roles towards a common goal. On a volleyball court, there are many different positions. There's the setter who sets the ball on the second touch, like I touched on before. The libero, who stays on the back row the entire game and is very responsible for serve receive. There's 2 outside hitters who have to be able to play back row and hit on the front row. There's 2 middle blockers who are responsible for blocking most of the time and then also hitting when it's their turn. And then there can also be a right side hitter who hits from the setter position. And while all these different roles are very different, they all come together for the same purpose, which is to win and to score as many points as possible. Players learn to understand and respect each role, adjusting their actions to support others. For example, they understand that without one player, their job would not be possible. The setter knows that their job would not be possible without a good pass from the libero. If the libero doesn't give a good pass, then the setter does not have an opportunity to set the ball. The hitter also must realize that their job is not possible without a good setter. All of this can either come together to cause fighting on a team or support. The goal for every team is to create support through these different roles. The setter should encourage the libero when they make mistakes, and the hitters should encourage the setters when they give a set that's less than perfect. Altogether, when each person understands that each role is different but essential to the team, you're able to communicate well and trust each other. According to the journal International Review for the Sociology of Sport, role differentiation in team sports enhances adaptability and group problem-solving skills off the court. As you play games and you learn to appreciate each role, that also transitions into real-life teamwork. As players graduate and go off to get jobs in the real world, they will need to understand that just because their role is different from someone else's in their job doesn't make them better or less than the other person. This helps create unity in the workplace and helps companies be able to get work done faster. When combined, communication, trust, and coordination form a powerful model of teamwork that applies well beyond sports. As players spend hours practicing working on their volleyball skills, what they don't realize is that they're not just honing their fine skills, but this whole time they've really been developing teamwork. Teamwork that will last far beyond the court and far beyond any one volleyball game. In conclusion, volleyball develops teamwork through communication, trust, and role coordination. By working as a unified team, volleyball players learn collaboration skills that they carry into work, school, and relationships. Next time you watch or play a volleyball game, notice how every passing shout, high five, and quick adjustment mirrors the kind of teamwork that we all need in daily life in order to support each other and grow wherever we wish to go. That's the end of my speech.